Live from the heart of America, I'm Steve Gruber, ready to deliver an inclusive and diverse discussion on the most important topics of the day, giving you better analysis and insight than anyone else, shining a spotlight on the cockroaches there in the swamp and delivering truth and justice. When you thought hope might be fading, it's not. We're here. Here are three big things you need to know to start this day. Number one, could the GOAT be running around in the pasture again? What I mean by that is Tom Brady really considering coming out of retirement again. It's the rumor. Number two, 2 Americans dead among the 4 attacked by assailants in Mexico. 2 are alive, and it's not clear what happened. The border war spilling more blood in America and in Mexico. Number 3, the blame game seems to be the sport of kings or, well, these people. At least the feckless weasels that think themselves of kings and queens inside the buildings of power in Washington, D.C. Have you noticed how nobody, specifically politicians, ever stop to admit that they're wrong? That they've not done a good job and they can do better? Do they ever admit that? Whatever happened to the proclamation of Missouri Senator turned Vice President turned President Harry S. Truman? And the buck stops here. The real game anymore is passing the buck as fast as possible and looking to point fingers at as many people as possible. The Democrats, for their part, have become pretty lazy about it. When in doubt, shout racism! Or blame Donald Trump, of course, which to them has become the same. They don't care about truth, facts, protecting America, or looking out for you. They care about protecting their gravy train and looking out for themselves. The idea of public service means giving away enough services paid for by somebody else to buy enough votes to punch yet another free ticket on that gravy train. When Nancy Pelosi and others refused to provide the 10,000 National Guard troops requested by then-President Donald Trump on January 6, 2021, and things spiraled out of control, she, of course, blamed Trump. What else would you expect? In fact, they were so hell-bent on blaming Trump, they assembled a hand-picked committee, rejected every Republican put up by Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, added 2 never-Trumpers who hated the president, and went to work blaming everything they could think of on him. It worked. And with no witnesses, no defense, and no evidence, they were able to ram through a second impeachment on President Trump, too, that was no more sound than the first. And just like the first, was laughed out of the Senate, but they thought they had scored the win. They had blamed Trump and convinced millions of Americans that he had incited an insurrection and a riot. He hadn't. Now, 44,000 hours of videotape that had been behind locked doors from that ugly melee in J6 have been released only to Fox News and Tucker Carlson specifically, but the new video shows a lot of things that were ignored or manipulated by the J6 committee and all the bought and paid for members of Congress that rubber-stamped whatever came along. I'm going to give you a clear example here. QAnon shaman from Fox News. Here's a guy who became the face of the J6 insurrection, an unarmed insurrection. Unbelievable. Listen to this.
Every moment of his time inside the Capitol was caught on tape. The tapes show that Capitol Police never stopped Jacob Chansley. They helped him. They acted as his tour guides. Here's video of Chansley in the Senate chamber. Capitol Police officers take him to multiple entrances and even try to open locked doors for him. We counted at least 9 officers who were within touching distance of unarmed Jacob Chansley. Not one of them even tried to slow him down. Chansley understood that Capitol Police were his allies. Video shows him giving thanks for them in a prayer on the floor of the Senate. Watch.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for giving the inspiration needed to these police officers to allow us in this building.
Contrast the reality of what Jacob Chansley did in the Capitol building on January 6th, the indisputable facts recorded on video, some of which has never before been seen, with the depiction of Jacob Chansley that you've seen in the media for more than 2 years. He's a terrorist, they said. He should be killed.
Shoot him. Shoot him. Like, you burst into the United States, if he was dressed like bin Laden, would you have shot him?
Shoot him. Shoot him. It makes you wonder, who are the violent extremists here? Not Jacob Chansley, and the video proves that. But you would never have known from the media coverage.
That part is exactly true. So Tuesday, the blame game ratcheted up to an all-new level as Democrats were furious, absolutely furious, that the whole thing had been outed for the garbage it really is. In his best histrionic outburst, Chuck Schumer is on the soapbox demanding Fox News and Tucker Carlson be silenced. Silence! Chuck is declaring that censorship is the key to saving democracy now. Listen.
These lies continue tonight. Rupert Murdoch, who has admitted they were lies and said he regretted it, has a special obligation to stop Tucker Carlson from going on tonight now that he's seen how he has perverted and slimed the truth, and from letting him go on again and again and again. Not because their views deserve such opprobrium, but because our democracy depends on it.
Oh, our democracy depends on it. If we don't silence Tucker Carlson, and gosh, probably people like me too, and a host of others, democracy will fail. Isn't it interesting? Democracy dies in darkness, and yet it's darkness they demand. The White House, in an even bigger panic, making reckless comparisons between the mostly peaceful protests in D.C., as they would like to call it, if it were on the other shoe, on the other foot, and other seminal moments in U.S. history. This is about as far off base as you can get. The White House falsely claiming that J6 was worse than Pearl Harbor, the Oklahoma City bombing, 9/11, and a host of other things that were far worse. But hey, they have a narrative to sell. Listen to this nonsense.
The president has been very clear. January 6th was the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War, and we should be focused on making sure that never happens again. And so we are certainly, we agree. I know Minority Leader and Senator Schumer have already said this, and would hope that keeping the Capitol and Congress safe and secure remains congressional leaders' number one goal, and that should be our focus, and that should be what should be considered here. Again, it was one of the darkest days of our democracy, and all you have to do is watch those videos and see how horrific it was, see how sad it was, see an attack on the Capitol, which should not be happening in 2020. And we got to get down to the bottom of what happened. Again, it was an attack on our democracy. And I'll just leave it there.
Yeah, please leave it there, because you're making a complete fool of yourself. You see, we were watching the videos. Now, we should all have access to those videos. Giving it only to Fox News, flat out wrong, a mistake by Kevin McCarthy. That's a mistake. We should all have access to it. Thousands of people. Put it out there. Put it on YouTube. 44,000 hours on YouTube. Let us all look at the undoctored, unedited footage to see what we can figure out. Fox was able to figure out quite a few things with the team there, but we can do more. A million eyes can find more, right? I've got a lot more of this to shovel through as the histrionics continue. And when we come back, evidence of the uniparty. How they admit they're all on the same side. Mitch McConnell, Chuck Schumer. Where does one end and the other begin? I'm not quite sure. Neither are they. The Steve Gruber Show will continue after this.